Hi everyone. Today I am here with a video on motion. Students of class 9 to 11 can watch this video. So in this unit I am planning to start from the very basic. So we'll start from the basic physical quantities in motion, and then we will move to equations of motion, then graphs, then relative motion in one dimension, and then we will study vectors to understand about motion in a plane. There we have to study about relative motion in the plane as well, and then projectile motion, and at last circular motion. Okay, so let us start. So the unit name is motion. So let us start with the basic physical quantities. So what are physical quantities? So let me write here, physical quantities. Physical quantities means quantities which we can measure. Like you take the case of length, mass, time. These all terms frequently we use in physics, and we can measure all these quantities. So these quantities are called what? Physical quantities. So here we begin with some physical quantities that we need to understand to explore about the motions that we see all around us. So we know we see a lot of motions all around us, like movement of animals, birds, vehicles, planets, satellites, and so on. So let's begin with the basic quantities like distance and displacement. Distance and displacement. So to understand this quantity, let us take a life situation. So let us take the case of two cities. Okay. So let me name it as city 1 and city 2. Imagine there are two roads connecting these two cities. So let me draw the roads like this. Okay, just a random shape I give here. Okay, there are two roads. So let me name it as road 1 and road 2. But in physics, in the language of physics, I am changing the word now. Usually we don't say road, we say the word path. So how many paths are there to move from city 1 to 2? There are two paths as per this figure. Now suppose two people, let the names be A and B. Two people started moving from city 1 to city 2. Suppose A selected a first path to reach city 2. And B selected second path to reach the destination. Okay. So let me take the length of this path as around 200 km, and let me take it as 250 km. Okay, kilometer. So here when A reaches this city 2, we can say what length of the path is covered by A, that is 200 km, and what about B? It is 250 km. Length of path covered is called a distance. So what is the distance traveled by A? 200 km. And what is that of B? 250 km. Here we studied about how to find the distance traveled. Now let us see whether these two paths can help us to find the direction of motion of the object. Just let's have a look at this path. Here you see first the direction of this path. See, it is like this. So we know in geography, we already studied about the directions, like this way we represent north, this is south, then here comes the east, and here comes the west. So when this is called horizontal line and this is vertical line, okay, horizontal and vertical. So horizontally we represent east to west, and vertically we represent north south. Okay, so here when we look at the path 1, here we can see the motion begins like this in this direction. So this direction means in what direction the person A starts the motion. So let me draw a line somewhat parallel to it. Okay. So this is parallel to this one. So I can see he start moving towards northeast, and then how he goes, look, goes straight, horizontally. So horizontally means that then he is going towards east, and again you see, again it is going somewhat parallel to this. So continuously what happens to the direction of the path continuously changing, and same with this path also. So if you take the help of path, we cannot say in which direction the person should move to reach the destination. But we know that in our map or in the globe, like suppose we want to move from MP to Kerala, so we know we have to move towards south. MP to Kashmir, we have to move towards north. And how come we know that in this direction we should move? You hear some sound, right? It's of peacocks. It's a background music, enjoy it, okay? Okay, so if we have to move to Kerala, we move towards south. So how come we know that? We just speak in terms of the air distance. Air distance is always straight. That means in any situation, if we want to know the direction of what you say motion, what we should do? We should draw a straight line. Okay, from where to where? From the starting position to end position. Here I want to tell you one thing. Here the people started the motion from here. This is called initial position or starting position. This is called the final position or the end position. So when we draw a straight line from the starting position to end position, we can see the direction. So here, what is the purpose of drawing a straight line? First thing is to know the direction in which we need to move so that we will reach the destination. And the second thing is, see, have a look at these three, figures. Figures means a path 1, path 2 and a straight line which I made. So which is the least distance? Always we know the air distance is the least distance. So this is the least distance from city 1 to city 2. Okay, now, so first we obtained the actual path traveled by the object. Now, what is the actual path traveled by A? 200 km and that of B is 250 km. Now I am saying when A reaches city 2, A is at a distance of, let the length of this path be 100, okay? This line be 100. So what I say, when A is here, A is at a distance of 100 km from the starting position. And A is in which, A has to move in which direction to reach city 2? He has to move right. Right means what? Towards east. So two informations are given by the straight line. One thing is minimum what distance we need to cover to travel from one place to the other and in which direction we will move to reach the final position. So here you see in the first case when we talk about the distance is saying what? It is saying the actual length of the path covered by the object. It is not saying what minimum distance the object has to cover to travel from starting to end point, and it doesn't convey any information regarding the direction. But both the things, what minimum distance is to be covered to reach the final position and in which direction we should move. These both informations are given by this straight line. In this case, I say I am talking about displacement of the object. Now, look, let us focus on only object A. So, object A actually selected this path, path 1. What is the distance of the object? 200. But what is the displacement of the object? It is 100 km towards. Okay, so here we see the distance traveled by A is 200, but displacement is 100 km towards east. Now, what about B? Distance traveled is 250, but displacement is 100 km towards east. Why in both the cases displacement is same? Because the starting and end points are same. For getting displacement, identify the starting and end point, draw a straight line from starting to end point, and then direction will be given by that straight line such that direction will be towards the final point. Okay. I told you about the meaning of physical quantities. So in physics, physical quantities are broadly classified into two categories, scalars and vectors. Scalars are the physical quantities having only magnitude. It means, see here, we know the distance traveled by A is 200 km and that of B is 250 km. So how much is the distance? So how much that number, how big it is or how small it is, that part is called what? Magnitude. Like I'll give you another example. Suppose my mass is 60 kg and your mass is let it be 50 kg. So what is this 60 kg or 50 kg? What I'm talking about? I'm talking about magnitude of the quantity. Now, then what are vectors? Vectors are the quantities having both magnitude and direction. So here if you look at this distance and displacement, distance has magnitude because it is given by the path. But path generally it is not straight. So path cannot give a direction. That means there is no fixed direction for distance. So distance what type of quantity? It is a scalar quantity. Now look here, displacement. What is the displacement of each one here? 100 km towards east. What is that 100 km? Magnitude. And what is the towards east? Direction. So here displacement has both magnitude and direction. So displacement what type of quantity? Vector quantity. And distance what type of quantity? It is a scalar quantity. And here one more thing I want to tell, which quantity among these two, which one is path dependent? Distance. Which is path independent? Displacement. Why? How can we say the displacement is path independent? Both A and B, they are not going along the same path. Still their distance is different. I mean distance different, the displacement is same. Even if the path is different, displacement is same. Why? Because displacement is path independent. Now after this we are moving to some numericals on distance and displacement. So remember the logics you have to apply. For distance, identify the path and find its length. For displacement, what to do? Find the starting and end point, draw a straight line and then put an arrow on the line towards the final position. That gives us displacement. Okay, now let's have a look at some of the numericals based on this concept. Okay, let us have a look at the numericals on distance and displacement. Here we have the question, an object moves from point A to point B, then to point C, and then again back to point B and then to point C again. So first A, B, C, then B, then C. This is what the situation given here. And we are asked to find the distance covered by the moving object. So how to find the distance covered by the object? Find the length of the path. So from here to here 5 kilometer, and then 5 plus 3, here to here it is 3, 5 plus 3 is 8, so 5 plus 3 total 8, then again to B, so plus 3 11, and again to C, again one more plus 3. So what is the answer? 11 plus 3 14, because distance means just to find the length of the path. Then next, find the magnitude and direction of displacement. So what are the rules for finding displacement? Find the starting point and the end point. Where the object is ending, it is ending at C. Then draw a straight line from starting to end point. So what is the displacement? 8 kilometer. In which direction? We know displacement is a vector quantity. So when you say 8 kilometer, it is only magnitude. So what is the direction? Direction is towards C, or you can write towards right. Okay. So let us see the solution now. This is the given question. Distance travelled to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus again 3. So total 14. And displacement 8 kilometer towards right, or we can say towards C. Okay, I hope you understand this. Let's move to second question now. What's the question? An object moves from point A. I think you all can see it. A, B, C, D. This is the path of the object. So what is the shape of the path? It is circular. So the object moves from A to B, then to C, then to D, and finally to A. Then what is asked? Finally to A along a circular path, and then find the distance covered by the object. Again, what is the rule for distance? Find the length of the path. So what is the shape of the path here? Circular. And what is the equation for length of a circular path? Circumference. What is it? 2 pi r. And what is r? Radius of the circle. And here if you look at the circle, you can see this is the center of the circle and this is the radius. And here let's have a look at this grid. What is the size of this grid? The side is 1 kilometer. So you see it is written here 1 kilometer, the side. So here this is the center. So how much is the radius? 1 plus 1 plus 1. That means 3 kilometer is the radius. So if we have to find the distance, go for the total length of the path, because starting from A and ending at A. So total length is 2 pi r. Pi you can write as such, you don't need to put the value, but r you have to substitute. So instead of r, what you will write? 3 kilometer. So that is what written here. So let me show you the solution of this distance. Then displacement we will discuss. Again the same figure I had drawn here. Then distance is 2 pi r, because the path is circular shaped. So 2 pi into 3 kilometer. You know how the 3 came here. Then 6 pi kilometer. If you want, you can substitute the value of pi as either 22 by 7 or 3.14. Now again, here in this situation, we are asked to find the displacement as well. So displacement means what? It is a straight line from starting to end position. What is the starting position here? A. And then coming back to A. So we are getting only one point. We will not be able to draw a straight line using one point. So what is the displacement here? Displacement is 0. Can be asked, what is the condition for getting zero displacement? What's the condition? If the starting and end points are coinciding, the displacement of the object is zero. It is zero. What is the reason? Starting and ending points are coinciding. Okay, now let's have a look at next question. It says both the questions same, but they are not same. Slight difference is there. Let's see what's the difference. Here also object is moving along the circular path, starting from A, then to B, then to C, then to D, but not to A. So only from A to D. What is the distance travelled and the displacement in this situation? Again, we have the same logic for finding distance travelled. Let us go for finding length of the path. So what is the length of the entire circle? 2 pi r. So what is the length of the half circle? It is 2 pi r by 2. What is it? Pi r. So total length means from here to here. So here to here it is pi r. And how much is, so half circle pi r. So what is the half of that half circle? 1/4 of the circle, pi r by 2. So this much is pi r by 2. And this is pi r. So what is the total? Pi r plus pi r by 2 is 3 by 2 pi r. So we got the distance. Now what is left to find? We have to find the displacement. Before that, let us see the figure. But before that, let us see the solution for distance. Okay, just a minute, this I'll explain you. So distance is 3 by 2 pi r, and in the grid here, in this figure, the side of the grid is 1 meter. Look, it is 1 meter. So here, this is the center of the circle. So here you will see the radius is 1 plus 1 plus 1. That means 3 meter is the radius. So in the equation, we will substitute 3. So what is the answer? 9 by 2 pi. Okay, 9 by 2 is 4.5. So you can write 4.5 meter. Because here the length is given in meter. In the previous question, the unit was kilometer because the unit was given in kilometer there. The side of the grid was given in kilometer. And so here, so distance is over. Now we have to find the displacement. So for displacement, what is the rule? Identify the starting and end point. This is starting point and D is the end point. The other points are already marked here. It's of no importance here for displacement. That is why I did not darken that side. So here starting and this is ending point. Now what is the next rule? Draw a straight line from where to where? Starting to end point. Now this is radius, this is also radius. So this is 3, this is 3. You got a right angle triangle. How can you find this AD by Pythagoras theorem? What is the answer? AD is equal to root of 3 square plus 3 square. So let me show you that step. So displacement, this is about magnitude of displacement, okay? So magnitude of AD is equal to root of 3 square plus 3 square. What answer you get? Root 18 meter. Again meter, why it is so you know. Then 18 is 2 into 9. So 9 square root is 3. So you can write it as 3 root 2 meter. Now look here. Here this is magnitude. But we know displacement is a vector. So we have to specify the direction as well. So how will you show the direction? Direction will be such that it will be pointing towards the end position. This is starting point, this is end point. So it will be towards D. Either you write towards D or you write along AD. Okay, both the ways you can mention the direction. Now let's see the next question. So what is given here? In this figure, a person start moving from P, then and travels to Q and then to R. Then find his distance and displacement. Again, let's apply the same logic. For finding displacement, we should know the path. 4 plus 3. So what is the distance travelled? 3 meter. So that is over. Now for displacement, what is the rule? Find the starting point and end point. Draw a straight line from starting to end point. So this line will give us displacement. Now how to find the side PR? We have again the Pythagoras theorem here because it's a right angle triangle. Root of 4 square plus 3 square. Okay, so let me show you the solution. See, I'll explain this one. What's the need of this? I'll tell you. So here it is coming. This is the hypotenuse PR starting from where? P, ending at R. So you can put an arrow here, okay? Actually I forgot to put the arrow here. So arrow shows that the direction of displacement is towards R. So when you find this, when you simplify this, you will get the answer root of 16 plus 9. So it becomes root of 25. That is 5. 5 meter along PR or 5 meter towards R. But there is another way. Question can be asked like this in exam. An object, see, this line is parallel to this one. And this is parallel to this vertical, right? So here the question says the object moves from P to Q. P to Q means in which direction? Towards east. So question will be a person moves towards east for 4 meter and then he turns through 90 degree towards his left. See how the question will come? He goes from P to, person moves towards east, and then he takes a 90-degree turn to his left. To his left, that means the person was going like this. Now he turned, that means now he is facing north. Now he is going 3 meters towards north. Okay. And then what is the displacement? In that situation, look, you have to give the direction in terms of this rotation. So how will you give the direction? You see, this line gives the displacement. So let us draw a line here. It is not made here. Line will be like this. Okay, see, east, north, and then here comes this line. So what will be the direction? This is northeast. I think all of you know this. You studied in geography. This is northeast. Here if it is like this, then southeast. Here comes the southwest, and here comes the northwest. But in this situation, in our numerical, this line is parallel to this line. This line, that means it is northeast. So you will write, it is almost, okay, it is not exact northeast, almost it is parallel to this. So you will say the displacement is 5 kilometer, what do you say, towards northeast. Okay, and then later you will find 5 kilometer at what angle. Okay, now let's see. So displacement is 5 meter along PR, that's over. Now next, let us have a comparative study of distance and displacement. You know the definition of distance. What is distance? Total length of path travelled. And what is displacement? And minimum distance from starting to end point. This is clear to us. And here you see it is always greater than or equal to displacement. So for that, let's have a look at this figure. Suppose it's a number line. You know this is the positive integer and this one negative integer. This is all clear to you. This is the origin, starting position. Okay. So here the object start moving from O. Imagine O not here. I took it as A to B. Okay. Suppose object travelled from A and stopping at B. That means what is the distance travelled? 15 unit not written. Let us take it as 15 meter. Okay. So distance is 15 meter. Displacement is also 15 meter. So both are equal. So can they both be equal in any situation? Yes. When they both can be equal if the object travels in a straight line in the same direction, then distance and displacement are equal. Okay, this is the first case. Now next, suppose the object started from A, moving to B, and then coming back to A. So in that case, you see what is the distance travelled? 15 plus 15. What is 15 plus 15? 30. And what about displacement in that situation? Starting from A and coming to A. So both the points are coinciding. So displacement is 0. So which quantity is bigger? Distance is bigger, greater than which one? Displacement. Now let us take that means easy. In the second situation, which is coming 0, displacement is coming 0, but distance cannot be 0. You take any situation, any motion. Once if the object start moving, it covers some path. If it covers some path, there is some length for the path. That means distance can never be 0 in motion. But what can be 0? Displacement can be 0. And one more point we have seen in the first situation, they both can be equal. When they both can be equal? When the path is straight and the direction of motion is same. And in all other cases, which is bigger, distance or displacement? Distance is bigger than displacement. Okay, so we see that distance is always greater than or equal to displacement, and displacement is always less than or equal. And when they are equal, I told you, in all the situation, distance is greater, except in one situation, that situation they both are equal. Now next step, what we have seen in this second case, if the object starting from A, moving to B, then coming back to A, displacement is 0, but distance is not 0. So which one can be 0 from these two? Displacement can be 0, distance cannot be 0. Now next, suppose the object started from A, moving to B, then to A, then to C, like here, A to B, then to A, then to C. So what is the total distance travelled there? 15 plus 15, 30, 30 plus 15, it is 45 meter. So distance is 45 meter. But what is the displacement? What is the rule? Identify the starting point and end point. Draw a straight line from starting to end point. And then put an arrow in such a way that arrow should be towards the end position. So towards the end position means arrow is towards left. Left means what sign we give? Minus. What is the meaning of the minus and plus sign here? To show direction. Plus sign shows the object moves right and minus shows here moves means actually we are talking about displacement. Displacement is left if it is minus. So here the displacement is from A to C. So what is the answer for displacement in this situation? Minus 15 meter. But distance is plus 45. So distance can never be negative. Which one can be negative? Displacement can be negative. And the last point already we discussed, this displacement has both magnitude and direction, so it is a vector. But for distance, it has only magnitude, so it is a scalar. So this is all about distance and displacement. Okay, so that's all today. We will meet later with another video. I mean, continuation of this motion, that is the speed and velocity. Okay, bye. Okay, so I hope you all understand about distance and displacement. So before we go to next physical quantity, I want to tell you one thing. It can be asked like in the exam, can distance and displacement be equal in any situation? So what we will write? Yes, it can be equal in which situation? When the path of the object is straight. If path is straight, both are equal. And next, one more thing, that is about the unit of distance and displacement. Distance and displacement means we talk about the length. And what unit to be given for distance or displacement or length, that depends on the situation we take. I am talking about the practical situation, okay. Suppose we are talking about distance between the cities. So we use the unit kilometer. Now suppose we want to talk about distance between different galaxies. So we talk in terms of light year. Or suppose we are going to a shop for buying 2-meter cloth for stitching some, what is the shirts or pants. Then we speak the length in terms of meter. So according to our practical conveniency, we can use the unit for representing the length. But when we talk about the international unit, okay, international system of units, as per the SI system, we say the SI system. As per the SI system, the unit of distance is meter, displacement is also meter. Why they both have the same unit? Because both represents what only? Length. Okay, so now I move to the next physical quantity, that is speed. So it's very familiar to us. So imagine that we are standing near roadside, okay, and just we are looking at the traffic moving on the road. And when we look at the vehicles, we see that cars and trucks, these objects move very fast, right? But when we look at the pedestrians or when we look at the auto rickshaw or at the cyclists, they go comparatively slow. So speed means it is a measure of how fast or how slow an object moves. If the object moves fast, then that object can cover a long distance in a short time. And if the object goes slow, then it takes more time to cover a particular distance. So speed is measured as, or it is defined like this, it is the distance travelled by an object in unit time. So what is the definition of speed? Distance travelled in unit time. Why it is taken unit time? Because just for easy, for our convenience to understand it. Like suppose I am saying a bus travelled suppose 100 km in 3 hours, and another bus travelled suppose 600 km in 5 hours. So which one travels faster, which one slow? So may be difficult for us to come to conclusion. But if I make the time unit time, it is easy for us to make out which object travels fast or which object travels slow. That is why the definition we made like this. Speed means it is the distance travelled in unit time, or we say rate of distance travelled. So we write the equation for speed like this. Speed is equal to distance travelled by time, or simply you can write distance by time. Okay, that's also acceptable. Distance travelled by time. Now here, see, in our vehicles, if you see that in the car, okay, when your papa drives the car, you have a look at that. Okay, you can see just behind the steering, you can see there are some meters. One type of meter represents the amount of fuel in the tank, and one represents the, continuously it is fluctuating. That is showing the, speed of the car or speed of the vehicle at any time. And there is another one there, it is written the unit kilometer. That is called odometer. The one which represents the speed is called speedometer. So odometer represents the total distance travelled by the vehicle, and the speedometer represents speed of the vehicle. So speed of the vehicle at any instant can be measured with the help of that particular meter. We call it as speedometer. And speed we defined as it is the rate of distance travelled. Now suppose let us take a position. Let it be a city. Okay, you assume any position. So let me call this position as P. Imagine a bus start moving from P. Okay, just let me draw a block figure for the bus. Okay, imagine a bus start traveling from here, and here comes the steering and all that you know, and here sits the driver. So when this bus travels, suppose I am saying the bus started the motion from here at a speed of 90 km per hour. Imagine there are two roads to travel from here, one going towards Baroda and the other one going towards Ahmedabad. Just imagine. Okay, now I am seeing the bus is going at a constant rate. Constant rate means I see it is going at a constant speed. Now I want you to guess. So where the bus will be after 2 hours? Can you guess it? Just I am telling this only. The bus is going at a uniform rate of 90 km per hour, and after 2 hours you have to guess where the bus will be. You cannot, because I did not say in which direction the bus started the motion. So here I told you only about the speed. Now what I am doing, see, I am telling you the bus started with this speed towards right. Now towards right, that means what else I added to this speed? I added direction. So when we add direction to speed, then we say we talk about velocity. Okay, so here we have come across two physical quantities. One is speed and the other one is velocity. Both are physical quantities because both we can measure. But one is scalar, the other is vector. Why one is scalar? Because this one has only magnitude. I told you 90 km per hour. I did not say about direction when I told you about speed. But when I talk about the velocity, I see both magnitude and direction. Now, what is the meaning of giving direction to speed? Let us see it. Okay, just let me rub this one. Again, to reach the equation for velocity, let me start with the equation for speed. We know speed is equal to distance by time. That we studied. Okay, now what I told you, now I want to get the equation for velocity. So what should I add to this speed for getting velocity? I should add direction. So let me write the same equation here and then let me add direction to that. See, I am adding direction here. So that I come to the next physical quantity, what? Velocity. Now look, I am adding direction to distance. What do you mean by adding direction to distance? What is distance? Length of the path. Now you give direction to path. So when you give that, you studied already in distance and displacement. When you give a particular direction to path, then path becomes straight, right? And distance plus direction will be replaced by which quantity then? Displacement. Displacement by time. So what is the definition for velocity? It is the rate at which, or you can say it is the displacement of an object in unit time, or rate at which displacement is produced. That is called velocity. What is distance? It is the rate of distance travelled. It is the rate of change of displacement. In both the cases, what you see, let us talk about the unit. Distance, what is the SI unit of distance? I told you already, it is meter. And what is the SI unit of time? Second. So how we read it? We don't read it as meter by second. We read it as meter per second. Either you write like this or you write like this, meter per second. But you studied already in maths. Here the second comes in the denominator. Its power is not mentioned. That means the power is 1. And sign not given. That means it is plus. So when you take this in the numerator, it becomes ms raised to minus 1. Same way, let us look at the unit of velocity. Displacement. Displacement also represents what? Length. So what is the unit? SI unit meter. Time second. So what is the SI unit of displacement? Meter per second. We don't need to say this power because it is 1. If it is 1, we don't say it. So what we understand from here? Speed, which among these two, which is more informative? It is velocity. Why velocity is more informative? Because velocity tells us at what rate the object is traveling and in which direction the object travels. But speed tells us about what? Speed tells us only at what rate the object covers the distance. That idea, that information is given by speed. But speed never tells us in which direction the object is moving. So we will be able to locate the object if we know the rate at which distance travelled, but in which direction this distance is travelled. That means about velocity. This is what the main difference between speed and velocity. So we studied already in the day-to-day situation. The paths are not generally straight. So distance and displacement are not equal, but in any situation if paths are equal, then distance and displacement are equal. Same way with the speed and velocity also. Means if path is straight, these two numerators are equal. What are the numerators? Distance and displacement. Then speed become equal to velocity. Can be asked in exam. Can speed and velocity be equal in any situation? Yes, only in one situation, when object travels in a straight line. I hope you understand about speed and velocity. And here I want to tell you one more thing. We know that when we travel from one place to the other, no, you take the case of our journey by car or a bike or by bus. We know that continuously the speed of the vehicle changing. Continuously speed changing means we can see. Okay, so we studied about speed and velocity. Now let us see a live situation. When we travel from one place to the other, suppose we are traveling by car, we know that our speed is continuously changing. Sometimes it may be 30, sometimes maybe 50, because when we go on road, sometimes the road is very smooth, so we go at a high rate. And sometimes speed breakers come, sometimes some vehicles overtake us, sometimes vehicles come from opposite direction. So what happens to our motion? Continuously the speed of the motion changes. If speed is continuously changing, then that type of motions are called non-uniform motion. If speed remains constant, then the motion is called uniform. So generally, what type of motion we perceive all around us, it is non-uniform motion because speed continuously changes. And if the speed remains constant, then the motion is called uniform. Now, suppose we are told like this, a person traveled from city 1 to city 2. And what is his speed? What was his speed when he traveled from 1 to 2? Okay, so that we cannot say that the speed was 90 or speed was 50, because when I looked at the speedometer at that particular moment, the speed was 100. So I cannot say that throughout the journey he traveled at the speed of 100. So such situations, there is an ambiguity. Okay, we cannot specify the speed was throughout the motion, the speed was 100 or throughout it was 90. We are not clear. In such situations, we introduced another quantity, we call it as average speed. We also know that when we are not sure about something, what we do, we take the average of it. So here also, whenever we talk about uniform motion, instead of saying speed or velocity, we say average speed or average velocity. The equation for average speed is total distance travelled by total time. And for average velocity, it is simply total displacement, or you can write simply displacement by time. And how to apply this in situations, that we will see. So where we need to understand average speed and average velocity, when the motion become non-uniform. What do you mean by non-uniform motion? It's a type of motion in which speed of the object is continuously changing. Example, the motion which we see around us, motion of vehicle, motion of animals or moving, flying birds. Let us have movement of earth around sun or satellites around the planets. All comes under the category of what type of motion? Non-uniform motion. So is there any example for a uniform motion in the day-to-day life? Yes, you just have a look at hands of the clock. The motion is uniform. So when the hour hand completes 1 hour, the distance traveled the same. Or minute hand, have a look at the minute hand. When 1 hour gets over, what is the distance traveled by the minute hand? 2 pi r. Again for next 1 hour, what's the distance traveled by the minute hand? 2 pi r. So speed remains constant for the hands of the clock. Okay, so all other examples, okay, you try to find out, you try to see the surroundings, your environment, and try to find out examples for a uniform motion. Generally, what type we see? Non-uniform motion. So when the motion is non-uniform, we are not sure about at what speed the object was traveling while moving from one place to the other. Such cases we introduced average speed or average velocity. How to find out? By this equation, total distance traveled by total time for average speed, and for average velocity, this is the equation. And what about the units? Units are same only. Distance traveled means length. I am talking about SI unit, length, meter per second. And here also, what is the SI unit of average velocity? It is meter per second. Again, can these two be equal in a situation? Yes, average speed and average velocity can be equal. In which situation? When the object travels in a straight line. Yes. Okay, now we will see some questions. Okay, here we move with some numerical zone, average speed and average velocity. Here comes the first question. The question says a man walks 7 km east. That means moves horizontally right. East in 2 hours and then 2.5 km west. See, that is what shown here. 2.5 km west for what hour? 1 hour. Thus I made in the same line. Look here, I marked this point as A, this point as B. Okay, so first starting from A, moving right for 7 km and 2 hours. And then see, 2 arrows are here. That means first going towards east and then returning. Returning not the starting position to what distance? 2.5 km from here. So I marked this final position as C. So first 7 km, then plus 2.5 km. What is it? Total distance travelled 7 plus 2.5. So total distance travelled is 9.5 km. And for what time he travels? For 3 hours. So first we are asked to find the average speed. What's the equation for average speed? Total distance by total time. Now let me show you that solution. Average speed total distance by total time, that is 9.5 km by 3 hours. What is it? 3.2 km per hour. Now let's go back to question for solving average velocity. What is the equation for average velocity? Displacement by time. He started from here, look, and ending here, going to B, then coming to here. Total here to here 7. This much is 2.5. So how much is this one? Yes, we know displacement means what? It is a straight line from starting to end position. This is the end position. Total is 7. 7 minus 2.5. 7 minus 2, 5 minus 0.5. That means it is 4.5. AC is 4.5. But what time he travelled for getting the displacement 4.5? He travelled for how much time? 3 hours. Okay. So how will you find the average velocity now? Displacement by time taken for that displacement. He comes to C only after going to B. That means 2 hours already spent here and then 1 more hour. So what is the equation for average velocity? Displacement by time. And how much is the displacement? It is coming as 4.5 km by 3. Division you know. And here in both the cases, distance is given in kilometer and time in hours. So what is the unit of average velocity and speed here? Kilometer per hour. And here you see they are not equal. Why the average speed and average velocity are not equal? Even though the movement is in a straight line, the direction not same. I think that part I did not mention when I explained the theory. What's the condition for getting same distance and displacement? The object should move along a straight path and direction also should be same. Here path is straight but direction changing. That is why distance and displacement are different and average speed and average velocity also different. Let's move to the next question. Here let me show the figure for explaining this. Here you start walking from a point on a circular field of radius 0.5 km. Here I assume the starting position as A. So we move along this circular field, and what is the radius of that circular field? 0.5 km. And in what time we complete one round? In 1 hour. Okay, we go round the field for 1 hour. Then the question is, yes, we are coming back to the starting point. That means you have to say that one round is completed. And the question is, what is the average speed of the journey? And what's the equation for average speed? Total distance travelled by total time. And what is the total distance travelled here? 2 pi r. And total time, let us take it as t. And what is the radius of the path? 0.5. So let's put the values. Before that, let me show you the equation for average speed. Average speed is total distance by total time. The distance, since it is circular path, so the distance travelled is 2 pi r. And instead of r, you can put 0.5. And instead of t, you can write 1. So how it comes? 2 pi into 0.5. Kilometer is there because here the radius is given in kilometer. And time in 1 hour. What is the 5 into 2? 10. But 0.5. So it becomes what? 1. So it becomes a pi kilometer per hour. What is it? Average speed. Now what is your average velocity of the whole journey? So here you start from A and ending at A. What is the equation for average velocity? Displacement by time. Here the object comes back to the starting position. So what is the displacement? The displacement is 0. So what is the average velocity here? Average velocity is 0. So average speed and average velocity are not same here. It's a special case of average speed. Here the figure says an object travels from A then to B during a time t1 with an average speed of v1. And what is the distance of AB? X. Again, then he moves from B to C. At what average speed? V2. For what time? T2. And what is the distance of C from B? X. So what we understand from here, AB is equal to BC. That means he travels equal distance with different average speed and at different time intervals. In this case, we will be asked to find what is the average speed of the journey. So what is our, first let us see the normal way and then we will see the shortcut. Okay, shortcut is very easy, but before we apply the shortcut, we should know how that equation comes. So what is our normal logic? Average speed is equal to total distance traveled by total time. So what is the total distance from starting to end point? X plus X, 2x. And what is the total time? T1 plus T2. Okay, so the average speed is 2x by T1 plus T2. Now let us see this AB and BC separately. So when the object travels from A to B, the average speed is V1, time taken T1, distance traveled to X. So separately let us apply the equation. So what is the equation for V1? Average speed equal to distance by time. V1 is equal to X by T1. Let me show it here. From A to B, distance traveled is X, average speed is V1, time taken is T1. So what is the equation for average speed here? A to B, V1 is equal to X by T1. Same way, let us consider BC. What is the equation for average speed while traveling from B to C? V2 is equal to X by T2. I think you understand this part. Now what we do? What we are asked to find average speed of the entire journey. What we took here, we took the fragments. We have taken the average speed from A to B and then from B to C. And what is our target? Our purpose is to find the average speed of the entire journey. This is our basic equation, but we don't know about X and T. So here we got the equation for V1, V2. From here we can find T1. So what we get from T1? For T1 what we get from here? X by V1. So let me show here. T1 is equal to X by V1. Similarly, T2 equal to X by V2. Now look, this is our V1 and V2. Cross multiply V1, T1 equal to X. And T1 is equal, not V1, T1. T1 is equal to X by V1. T2 equal to X by V2. Then we substitute this T1 and T2 in this equation. So what we get? T1, T2 we got X by V1, X by V2. So let us substitute in equation 1. Instead of T1, X by V1. Instead of T2, X by V2. So here you can take in the denominator X is common. X is outside. So what you get? X into 2x is as such. Numerator is as such. X into 1 by V1 plus 1 by V2. So what is common in the numerator and denominator? X is common. So X is cancelled. So it comes 2 by 1 by V1 plus 1 by V2. Now we can take the LCM of denominator. So what we get? V1, V2, then comes V1 plus V2. I think you understand here. Here you see 2 by V1, V2, then here comes V1 and here comes V2. So how we can write it? 2 by 2 the whole divided by V1 plus V2 by V1, V2. And where this V1, V2 will go? It will go in the numerator. So how it becomes? 2 V1, V2 by V1 plus V2. So what type of case we have seen? We have seen that a person traveling from one position to the other with some average speed during some time interval and then covering the same distance once more with some different speed and a different time. In that case, how to find the average speed? Just what to do? Just multiply 2 V1, V2 and then divide by the sum of their velocities. Like I will show you one question now. Suppose the question says a person travels from A to B and suppose a distance of 20 km with an average speed 30. Then he travels from B to C, the same distance, if you take 20 here also 20 km, and travels with a different average speed at 20 km per hour. Okay, see the distances are equal and covering the same distance with the different average speeds in the different time intervals. Then what is the average speed of the entire journey? Okay, our normal way is apply the equation total distance traveled by total time, but we have the shortcut now. What's the equation? We average speed of the entire journey is equal to 2 V1 V2 by V1 plus V2. That means 2 into 30 into 20 by 30 plus 20. So what is the answer? Here you are getting, when you simplify, okay, you simplify, you will get it as 24 km per hour. You don't need to go for that long step, total distance traveled by total time. But remember, this we apply if the question says the first half distance and second half distance. Or the question says person going to school and then returning in the evening. That means what is the distance between the school and the home? That is fixed, that is equal. So if distances are equal, then this equation we get. Okay, now we are seeing one more situation where distance different, well, average velocities are also different for the different parts of motion, but times are equal. Then let us see how to analyze it. Here we see another situation for finding average speed. A person travels from P to R. So first he covers some distance, it is x1, and here Q to R is x2. In the previous case, what we have seen, the distances are equal and each distance it covers with some average speeds, and average speeds are different for each part and the time intervals are also different. But here we see the person travels from P to Q. There can be any distance here. P to Q, see it is x1 with some average speed v1. Then travels from Q to R, another distance x2 with some average speed v2. But the question says he takes same time for traveling from P to Q and Q to R. Okay, in such a cases, how to find the average speed? In the previous case, distance is equal, V and T are different. Here, times equal, but X and V are different. Both the cases find average speed. What is the general equation? Average speed is equal to total distance traveled by total time. Okay, just let's proceed. Total distance x1 plus x2 by total time t plus t, 2t. So here, now let us analyze part-wise. Let us take P to Q. So when the person moves from P to Q, average speed is V1, total distance traveled is x1, time taken t. So we got this equation. So what is x1 from here? Why we find x1? Because we have to substitute here. So what is x1? V1t. Similarly, what is x2? V2t. Now what we have to do? Substitute x1 and x2 in this equation. So what we get? Instead of x1, V1t. Instead of x2, V2t by 2t. So what is common in the numerator? In the numerator, t is common. So what we get? V1 plus V2 by 2t. T cancel. So what is the answer? V1 plus V2 by 2. Do you remember the previous equation? 2V1 V2 by V1 plus V2. What was the condition there? A person travels equal distances. Distances are equal but traveling with a different average speed and with a different time interval. Here what is the situation? Person travels different distances with a different average speeds but in the same time intervals. Then we got equation for average speed as V1 plus V2 by 2. Where it was 2V1 V2 by V1 plus V2. But how we obtained both the equations? From the basic equation for average speed. What is it? Total distance traveled by total time. Now just let's see a numerical on this one. Imagine a person travels from P to Q. Distance is, okay, it is not mentioned here. It is not needed only, this you remember. Okay, this type of questions, distances are not needed. And Q to R, covering some other distance. This is longer than this one. And here time taken 1 hour. Here also time taken 1 hour. Equal time intervals are there. And P to Q, it travels with an average speed 20. Q to R, it travels with an average speed 30. So what is the average speed of the entire journey? So remember the general equation. But if you are applying the shortcut, think first. Don't apply any equation. Here times are equal. So what is the equation for average speed? V1 plus V2 by 2. That means 20 plus 30 by 2. 50 by 2. What is the answer? 25. Answer comes 25 km per hour. So I think you understand the special cases. Before you simply by heart the equations for each case, once you try to understand how the equations are coming, then you apply. Then you will not make mistake in the numericals. That's all about the speed. So in the next video we will meet with another topic, that's acceleration. Thank you.